Hey Crafty fam, it's Alex Vanover and welcome back to my craft room. I am so excited for today's craft. I cannot even wait. I was testing it out earlier today and it's going to look something like this. And y'all, I seriously can't wait to walk you through this because the methods we're going to use today are so easy and they are literally going to blow your mind. So once we get started, let me make sure that you guys can hear me okay and see me okay, and then we will jump right into this craft because it's going to be fun and it should be pretty easy, but I want to give us plenty of time because like I said, we are using some brand new stuff today. I cannot wait to show you guys how to do this. I tested it out because it worked in my head, but you know, I just had to make sure that it was really going to work in real life. So let me pull up your comments and all that stuff. See if there's any of y'all hanging out with me. Hello. Hey, Catherine. Hey, Glenna and Roseanne and Helena. Welcome. Oh, thanks for asking, Catherine. The camping trip was really fun. It was a lot of fun. We have a lot to learn about using a camper. That's one thing that we learned on our trip. And it was short and sweet, but really good. Thanks for asking. Hey, Mackie, welcome. Welcome. Y'all, the Hot Mess Express is in full swing today. But in exciting news, I did get a new microphone. So how do things sound on your end? When I checked it with the screen recording, it sounded pretty good to me. But let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. Hopefully I'm not super loud. Hey, Francine, welcome. Is that how you say your name? From Ontario, Francine? Hey, Irma, welcome. And Mary Ann, I'm so glad you guys are here. So excited. So excited. Hey, Mandy, how are ya? I've got stuff. Normally I'm like a little more organized before I press go and start the live. But today I just went for it, guys. I just went for it. Sounds good? Okay, good. I'm really glad. I could hear a big difference in the screen capture. So I was excited to see how that goes. I don't know that I'm going to need that. Get myself organized. Oh, good. You guys are sounding good. Okay. Good. Hi guys, do you know that I think this may end up being our very last mystery box live? I'm not positive. I'm gonna work on some stuff later this week on Friday. We still have to do the sequin pillow cover, which I'm so excited to show you guys how to work with, but I think I'm gonna do that one as a recorded video because I need to show you how to do it with infusible ink as well as regular sublimation. So I think that one may be recorded, and then I owe you one last video on the acrylic sunglasses that we were going to do in the very beginning, but I think I may do that one as a recorded video too because it's super fast. Super fast. Hey, Aileen. She said, how did the carpet installation go? So the carpet is done and it looks great. I'll have to show you guys some pictures on Instagram or something because it looks really good, but it took 2 days instead of one, and y'all, your girl was stressed because I had scheduled a live with you guys for 4 o'clock on that Friday, specifically because they were supposed to be done on Thursday and they only got about half the job done. So I was not a happy camper with the installation process, but once it was done and everything was cleaned up, it looks really good. So yeah, thank you for asking though. You guys are so sweet. Good. I'm glad it sounds good to you guys. Yeah, so I have to decide what I'm going to do with the sunglasses acrylic. I will definitely do a video for you, but I'm still deciding if I'm going to do it live or pre-recorded because like I said, it's going to be super quick. They have a great SVG that is now fixed on 143vinyl.com. So if you haven't already seen it, you can find it on the acrylic downloads page under DIY Alex sunglasses. So I'm going to show you how to download that in case you've never done it before, but I am still deciding about what format I want to do that in. So do you guys prefer lives or do you like mixing in with premieres and pre-recorded videos? Let me know what you think and then we'll get started. Let me know. I know there's a little bit of a lag, so y'all are probably answering me. I just can't see it yet. So while I'm getting your feedback on what format you want to do that in, I'm going to send you over to my overhead camera and we're going to take a look at the materials that we are using for the project today. So from the box, we are using, let's see, the Coral Matte Starcraft HD. We're going to use the light green matte Starcraft HD again as well because those are both adhesive vinyl. We're working with the chalkboard vinyl. as well as, let's see, the acrylic rectangle in 5x7. So those are the things that we're using today. We're going to be using some non-traditional transfer tape because I'm going to be teaching you guys the wet method with vinyl. So let me know in the comments what you guys have, if you guys have ever tried the wet method before or if you know anything about it, but you can literally apply your vinyl with 0 bubbles. Look how huge these sheets of vinyl are, and there's not a single bubble in either one of them. So it's a really amazing tool for you guys to have when you're crafting because it just makes everything so much better. Oh, good. I like that you guys like a mix too, because I'll be completely honest with y'all. I love going live with you. You know that. I love hanging out with you guys and chatting with you. But when I am doing like 6 and 7 and 8 projects with the mystery box, it's a lot for me to go live every single time. It's just like a ton. It's a ton of live and a ton of time that sometimes I have and sometimes I struggle with. So I really liked doing this box where we did some premieres and some lives because it just gave me a chance to really enjoy these projects and not get quite so tired. So I'm glad you guys like that too. Yeah, Roseanne said lives are good as you can verbally respond. Recorded are okay, but it requires more reading rather than watching. I could see that. That makes total sense. Hey, Linda, welcome. Helena said she wished she would have gotten this box. I know, Helena, but don't worry. This will not be your last opportunity to get a box. I don't know when I'm going to do my next mystery box, but there's some other fun stuff coming really, really soon that I think you guys are going to like. Oh, and before I forget, so I think it was last week, right? When we talked about, I was teasing y'all about the stuff that was coming on like later that week and the other fun stuff. So the 2 fun things I was really excited about were the Puff, 3D Puff HTV, which you guys saw in a reel/TikTok on Friday, and I posted it on all the social media platforms. And then the other thing was this this is tropical rainforest, but the holographic pearl adhesive vinyl, which I'm going to show you how to work with today. This did not come in your box. In case you guys are new around here, this did not come in your box, but it's something that actually just launched yesterday, and 143 sent me some to play with, and it is literally amazing. So I had to include it in this project a little bit, but if you don't have any, that's perfectly okay. Okay, so now let's jump into this project, okay? Because I don't want to take y'all's whole afternoon. So actually what we're going to do is I recorded a design space portion for y'all so that you could see how I set everything up for this rectangle. Because like I said, I know a lot of you guys are new. So I've been trying to include a design space piece to these tutorials because I want you to know how to set it up and do the whole thing start to finish. So first I'm going to overlay the recorded part, which is just basically a screen recording of design space. So I won't be able to hear you, but I will be able to read your comments. So if you have any questions during the live process, just drop it in the comments and I'll answer you there. So give me just a second to get started. And here we go. So let's talk about how to set up the vinyl cuts for your chalkboard sign. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go over to the design panel on the left-hand side and choose the basic shapes. And then we're going to insert a square. And this square is not only going to serve as a template, but it's also going to serve as the background of our acrylic sign. So first I'm going to unclick the lock in the lower left-hand corner. And then up in the edit toolbar, I'm going to change the width to 5 inches wide by 7 inches high. I'm just pressing enter to get that to work. So that's what the background of our acrylic sign is going to look like. Then I'm going to click this square to select it and then duplicate it. And that's going to give me a second square that I can create for my actual chalkboard. So I changed it to a lighter color so I can see the contrast. And I think I'm going to make this one 4 inches wide, and that'll make it a little bit less than 4 by 6. So that won't be perfectly centered because there's a little more space on the sides than there is top and bottom, but that's okay. Oh wait, no, there is a little bit more. There we go. But that's perfectly fine. So we have a 4 by 6 square, which is going to serve as our chalkboard vinyl. And then the background is going to be the actual vinyl that we are going to cut out of regular vinyl so that our sign has a background. Then I want to add a summary touch to this sign. So I'm going to go into images and I'm going to search for a monsterra leaf. Actually, you know what? I think I'm lying. I think I just need to search for a regular leaf. And then under ownership, I'm going to filter by uploaded because I uploaded a monstera leaf file that I really like. It's this guy right here. So I'm going to insert this one image into my canvas, and then obviously it's huge. And I want these to be pretty small because I mostly want them to go around the outside of our chalkboard. So I'm actually going to make the width just 3/4 of an inch wide. And that's going to make them super tiny. So then I'm going to duplicate them around 9 times so that I just have a bunch of them. You can use as many or as few as you want. Let's see, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, something like that. So we have a few extra, I think, but that's okay. That'll work perfectly. So then what I'm going to do is click and drag a box around all of these and duplicate them. And then the second set of leaves, I'm actually going to change the color because I'm going to cut, let's get a little more contrast there, make them a little darker. So I'm going to cut one set of these out of regular StarCraft HD vinyl, and I'm going to cut the other set out of the new holographic pearl Caesar Easy PSV because I am obsessed with the Rainforest Pearl. I think it's going to look so good on this sign. Now, the Rainforest Pearl holographic was not included in your mystery box, and like anything, it's always totally optional. So you have the light green HD that's going to work perfectly for one set of these leaves, and then if you want to add something holographic, you can change that as well. And while we're here, let's go ahead and change the background to coral or something close to that so we remember what color to cut it. And then I'm going to change the chalkboard to black just so that we remember what part is what. So now let's move on to the Make It screen now that we have everything the way that we want it. And I am working with my brand new Cricut Maker 3. So that's why it's asking me if I'm working without a mat, which would be for smart materials, or on a mat for any other kinds of materials. So I'm going to be working on a mat, and then I'll select Done. Since the materials we're using are not smart materials, we have to use them on a mat. So I'm not going to make any changes here. I'm just going to click Continue. But I wanted to talk about the cut settings for each of these materials because they're going to be different, especially for the chalkboard vinyl. So when I cut the chalkboard vinyl this morning with my Maker 3, I ended up browsing all my materials and using the cardstock setting for light cardstock. So I just selected the light cardstock, which would be for 65-pound cardstock, and then select Done. And then I set my pressure to less, and that did pretty well. But if you've never cut chalkboard vinyl before, I highly recommend you do a test cut. And actually, let's go back and I'll add in a star for you and show you how I do test cuts in case you're unfamiliar. And you should do this anytime that you have a new material that you've never cut, just so that you don't waste an entire sheet of vinyl trying to figure out the cut setting. You can just utilize a little bit. So I usually insert a star from the Basic Shapes panel. And I like to make that star about 1 inch wide so that it's really small. You could probably even go smaller than that, honestly. And in fact, you may even want to add a second one if you've never cut the Caesar holographic pearl vinyl before too. But I'm just going to insert one. And then you need to make sure that the color of the star is different from all your other project colors. So I'm going to make it like a light blue because that doesn't match anything else that I am doing. So we'll repeat these same steps. I'll say that I'm using a mat. And then we'll click Continue. And once your machine connects, before you ever cut the actual vinyl itself, you want to start by cutting the little star, and you're gonna just take a wild guess as to what you need for your cut setting. In case you guys are unfamiliar, I will link the cutter settings document from 143 Vinyl down in the description below. I use that all the time when I am working on cutting new products and stuff like that. So when I looked this up, this is the document you guys are going to see. Under Caesar PSV Chalkboard, it says custom cardstock for the Cricut setting, but there is no such thing as like a regular cardstock setting unless you're using the Explorer Air 2 and you're using the dial. So I just guessed with light cardstock, but light cardstock ended up cutting way into the backing for me. That's why I chose the drop-down menu and chose less pressure, and that seemed to work well for me. So if you haven't worked with the material before, go ahead and perform this test cut. And then if this little star doesn't work for you in the corner, what you can do is go to Cancel. And then when you go back to the prep screen, you can actually edit your mat. Actually, I guess it doesn't have an edit button anymore, but you can just drag it over. So if you just cut a 1-inch star, just drag it over to the side and then click continue. And then you don't even have to remove your vinyl from your mat. You can just cut another star and give it another try. And you want to keep cutting these stars until you get the right cut setting. Then once you get the right cut setting, you can go up and cut your chalkboard vinyl or whatever you're experimenting with. So I know that was kind of a long-winded response, but I hope that helps you in case you're struggling with cut settings. That is what I recommend. So for chalkboard vinyl, again, I use the light cardstock setting with less pressure. So I just use the drop-down menu to choose less. This is the coral piece of StarCraft HD, and I just cut that on the regular vinyl setting. This one is going to be the light green StarCraft HD, and again, I cut that on the regular vinyl setting. And then believe it or not, when I cut the Rainforest Pearl Holographic, I also just used the regular vinyl setting and it worked fabulously for me. But again, if you've never cut it before, go ahead and add another star to your mat or use the same star and practice with the holographic pearl before you go and use a whole top piece of your sheet. Just use a little star so that you're not wasting as much vinyl. So I already have all my pieces cut because y'all know this is already alive, but I just wanted to answer any questions that you guys had about setting this up in Design Space and getting all that started. So let's get back to the project. Hello guys, I'm back. So let me know in the comments if that Design Space section really helped you. Also let me know if you are familiar with test cuts, because test cuts are super important whenever you're working with a new material. So let me know how you feel about that in the comments. Give me like a thumbs up or a cool if you're with me and you're familiar with test cuts or you understand now. And if you're not, let me know in the comments. And while you're chatting with me, I'm gonna get started weeding everything because we've got quite a bit to weed here actually. I think you guys may still be watching it because there's a little bit of a lag. So whenever you get back, let me know what you think. And in fact, I can zoom y'all in a little bit because you're a little far away. There we go. So here's our chalkboard piece and our background for our acrylic blank. Then I'll work on these little monstera leaves. But they actually do beautifully. You do have to go kind of slow because the cuts kind of cut into the leaf a little bit. You guys are good. Good. I'm glad that you're familiar because I know when you're new that can be really confusing, but it's a really important concept because otherwise you will end up wasting a lot of vinyl and HTV and in essence a lot of money in material if you are not familiar with test cuts. Good, Shannon, I'm glad. I agree, Ruth. And I still do test cuts all the time, like all the time. Just yesterday, when I made my first project with the holographic vinyl, I did a test cut on them because I was not positive that the vinyl setting would work for my machine. So, yeah. So in case you guys are not familiar with StarCraft HD, it is my favorite adhesive vinyl on the market that literally pulled off perfectly. I have zero weeding to do because this stuff is amazing. So this stuff is good to go, but I wanted to show you what the, oh my gosh, what's the color of this one? Oh, think about it. Rainforest Pearl Holographic Vinyl. Look how many different colors it looks like. To me, it looks like green, but because my ceiling lamp or my ceiling fan is on above you guys, it looks very orange. You can see my ceiling fan reflected right there. But it looks really cool on the menu. I'll show you because I did all of the Rainforest Pearl Holographic and all the leaves around my menu. And it just looks super cool. So I'm gonna mix together the HD leaves and the holographic leaves in case you guys don't have any holographic, but I think you're really gonna like the way this looks. I also wanted to wait and make sure that you guys were on the same page with me because I wanna show you how beautifully this weeds. Now there is one kind of crazy trick about these holographic pearls, and that is that the backing of them is clear. So Caesar has a brand new clear backing on this vinyl, which is really nice because it's really helpful when you're placing it down on your project. But the thing about about it is that they also have the same colors and HTV. So if you don't do it correctly, you could mix up your HTV and your vinyl because you may not realize which is which. Give me just a hot second, you guys. I am going to do our little picture in a picture thing so that you can see my face down in the corner. Hold on. Because I think it's a little funky when you can't really see me. Is that right? This one? This one? No. Trying to work my app, y'all. You know how I'm always doing something. There we go. Okay, hi. Now you can see me in the corner. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so that's really tricky. So make sure that if you're ever in doubt between the holographic colors, what you can do is just peel back a corner of the vinyl or the HTV. And if the actual vinyl itself is sticky, then you know that it's the adhesive vinyl. But if the backing is sticky and the vinyl is not, that's how you know it's the HTV. Kayla said, not gonna lie, I only test cut when I cut with it for the first time. Then I get angry if it doesn't cut right. Well, yeah, I usually only do it for the first material cut as well. But sometimes I can't remember. If it's been a while since I've used a material, I do another test cut. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in on this screen a little bit, and I'm gonna show you how beautifully this stuff weeds. Because honestly, guys, so I'll be completely transparent with you because y'all know that's how I roll. So all of the 143 vinyl VIPs got this stuff a little bit early so that we could have some material ready for you guys when the vinyl went live yesterday. And everyone had been telling me that this vinyl is amazing, it weeds amazing, that you just cut it on the regular vinyl setting. And I was like, yeah, okay. Love y'all, but normally holographic vinyl does not weed easily. Normally it is a fight. It's always a fight. But look at this, you guys. Now I am moving my vinyl back pretty slow, but that's almost completely done in literally one pull. Marie, my leaves are only 3/4 of an inch wide. So 0.75 inches wide is how I made my leaves. You guys can do whatever you want. Y'all know that. But I just wanted mine to be super fine because I wanted to be able to fit it around the chalkboard really well. So I did get a couple areas stuck on the vinyl. It's just kind of the little middle leaf part. So I'm just going to use my tweezers and grab those little areas. And when I weeded this earlier today, I did lose a couple of my leaves, but I figured because I had so many, I wasn't really worried about just losing one or two. So that is a risk that you take when you cut stuff like this. So I would always cut a little bit extra, but generally, I'm shook. When I said that to you guys yesterday, I was totally serious. I'm shook because that was just so easy. Like that's it. That's all the weeding I have to do for less than an inch wide monstera leaves. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so now we can move on to the wet method. So let me know in the comments if you guys have ever used the wet method before. I'm gonna show you how to set everything up and all that stuff. So we're gonna zoom out a little bit so I can show you the full picture. Yeah, Kayla said, holy cow, that looks like it weeds like HD. It does. I mean, honestly, obviously it's a little bit more difficult than regular HD because anytime, so let me give you a quick anatomy lesson of vinyl. Kim said, I'm not going to lie, I never test cut. That's okay, Kim. If you feel like you're okay with trusting it, then you do you. I just like to recommend test cuts because I know that with new crafters, it can be really frustrating. And so, yeah, but if that's not your style, then hey, you go, Glen Coco, you go for it. So let me give you a little anatomy lesson of vinyl, okay? Vinyl, if we're looking at it from the side, always has two parts. There's a film and an adhesive, okay? And typically, the adhesive on the bottom is gonna be either removable or permanent. And that's basically just based on the type of adhesive, okay? So removable or permanent adhesive. But the film, which is the top part of the vinyl, is what varies quite a bit. So for example, on this vinyl, the film is holographic. And in addition to being holographic, it also comes in several different colors. On this vinyl, the film is matte, and it also comes in a bunch of different colors. There's also glossy, there's, oh my gosh, there's a bunch of different kinds of vinyl. So that's the way that vinyl works here. So we're gonna be working with a couple different types. We're gonna be working with StarCraft HD, which is your typical permanent adhesive vinyl, and also the best permanent adhesive vinyl. And then we are working with chalkboard vinyl, which is a little bit different because you can actually write on it with chalk. Now, before we get started, I do also want to tell you that if you write on it with a chalk marker, the chalk marker will not erase. So it has to actually be a piece of chalk, not a chalk marker, okay? But we'll get to that here in just a minute. Isn't that cool, Junie? I agree. Okay, so you guys are not familiar with the wet method. Good. Well, I'm so glad that I can show this to you guys. Okay, so let me talk about the wet method a little bit, what you need and what it's good for. So the reason that the wet method is really effective in this project is because we are putting down huge continuous pieces of vinyl. And you guys know, if you've worked with vinyl, that typically when you put down a continuous piece like this, then a lot of times there's going to be a bunch of bubbles. That's just kind of the nature of it. You're never going to get it perfect. Well, the wet method makes sure that you seriously get it perfectly. Another really good way that I've seen people use the wet method is on basically on really smooth surfaces and flat surfaces too. So like glass, like car windows, or like commercial, like business windows. If someone hires you to do decals for their business, you'll want to do the wet method because you can readjust your vinyl and you can get all of the bubbles out. So, okay, Kim is saying, would I recommend the wet method putting vinyl on Starbucks cups? Mine never sticks even with PSV. You know, Kim, I don't know. I've only ever done it on flat surfaces like this, but I think it's probably worth a try. It's certainly not going to hurt anything because you guys, it is literally so easy. Y'all are going to think that I'm crazy, but I'm dead serious with how well it works. Okay, so let's talk about what you need for the wet method, or essentially how it works. So this is just a random spray bottle that I bought from the Dollar Tree. And what you want to put in your mix is Dawn dish soap and water, and you just want to use a little bit. So I actually measured out my soap for you guys today so that you would know how much I used. I used 1/4 teaspoon of Dawn, and then I filled the bottle all the way up with water. So I'll put that in the comments here in a second. 1/4 teaspoon of Dawn dish soap, and the rest just water out of the tap. So let me type it in the comments for you. Wet method mixture. 1/4 teaspoon Dawn. Fill the rest of the small bottle with water. If you're using a regular or a larger spray bottle than me, you may need a little bit more Dawn than that. There's not an exact science for the proportion of it, so I just guessed and it worked fine with me earlier, so that's what I'm going to tell you. You may have to experiment with more or less Dawn dish soap. Okay, so that's one piece of the wet method that you absolutely have to have. You need to have a spray bottle with water and Dawn in it. Then the other key components of the wet method is actually the transfer tape that you're going to be using. And you have to have, Amy, this is a 6-ounce spray bottle, 6-ounce spray bottle. And I got it from the Dollar Tree. The other component that you have to have with the wet method is you have to have a, sort of like a paper transfer tape. So that's why I'm literally just going to be use masking tape. You'll see people that basically sell tape in like wider rolls like this, and that is literally the same thing as masking tape. They might have a slightly different adhesive, but it is like, it's really similar. So I just use masking tape and it's always worked for me. So that's what I would recommend if you have it around home. If at 143, they have some what they call high tack transfer tape, and that is like a paper tape. So you could use that if you wanted to, but I'm assuming that most of us here in America have a roll of masking tape at home. So that's what I would recommend you use for this. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out my masking tape over top of both parts of my vinyl that I want to use it with. So in case, have you guys ever seen someone use painter's tape as their transfer tape? That's not my method of choice because I don't like to waste that much painter's tape, but some people do use painter's tape as their transfer tape, and it's essentially the same thing. We're just going to line it up and make sure that it covers the whole thing, and make sure that your tape overlaps a little bit. I would think so, Joe. I've never tried it with painter's tape, but I mean, you're right. It's like essentially the same thing. So I think so. It would probably work fine. What you don't want is you just don't want like my favorite, you guys know I love to use the clear medium tack from 143 vinyl. This kind of stuff will not work for the wet method. So make sure that it's some kind of papery type of tape, whether it's masking tape, painter's tape, paper transfer tape, something like that. So I'm going to start with this area first, just so it's a little bit quicker. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. And I'm just going to peel it up. See, I have the backing a little bit bigger than the vinyl. I'll just peel it up and move it to the side. And then in this case, I'm also going to do the backing of it first. And the reason I wanted to do the Coral HD is because I didn't want the back of my sign to show through and look funky. So ultimately, you could make this a double-sided sign if you wanted to, and you could add something else on the back, but I wanted the coral to go in the back just so that the chalkboard had a pretty background. So I'm going to do the background first, and then we'll do the chalkboard second. I love it when we can do a craft that has stuff all from around the house. I love that. I love giving you guys project ideas that you don't have to go buy anything usually. You know, you may not have a spare spray bottle, but you can get your spray bottles at the Dollar Tree. That's where I get my spare ones. And I usually try to keep one with like my cleaning supplies in case I need to like mix something together or do something like that. I always try to keep a spare one at home. Isn't this cool, Joe? I'm glad you guys are excited. I was excited that it worked. So I actually, you guys will laugh at this one. So I remembered that today was Wednesday, first thing this morning when I woke up. And this project literally came to me as I was like waking up. I was like, I knew I was going to make a chalkboard on this acrylic sign. I already knew that before. That's why I gave you chalkboard vinyl in your box. But then I was sitting there and I was like, well, we can't put a whole thing on there and have a bunch of bubbles. So how are we going to do this? We're going to do the wet method. And I was literally coming up with this just about in my sleep this morning. Then I had to try it myself and make sure that it was actually going to work and work out the way that I wanted it to before I gave it to all of you. So that's how this little project came to life. Hey, Tracy, welcome, welcome. We are getting ready to start the wet method on our acrylic. So here is my 5" by 7" acrylic rectangle that came in your mystery box. Pardon me, guys, sorry. That came in your mystery box. So yeah, like I said, the wet method is going to work best on things like this, where they're like super hard, super shiny plastic, glass, things like that. Yes, Kim, I know exactly what you are referring to, and I agree completely. I agree completely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off one side of the film like this on my acrylic blank. In case you guys have never worked with acrylic blanks before, they pretty much always come with a film over top of them of some kind. Sometimes it's white, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's clear, sometimes it looks like a brown paper, but it's just to keep the acrylic from getting scratched while it's being transported, okay? And so next I'm gonna take my little spray bottle. I'm gonna shake it up a little bit to make sure that the mixture is nice and even. And then I'm just going to spritz my acrylic with some of this Water Dawn mixture. And it doesn't need to be a ton, just a few squirts, okay? Then I'm going to take my vinyl and backing. I know my little square is in the way there. And I'm just going to peel the backing off of the masking tape. Or sorry, off of the backing onto the masking tape. And then this part is a little tricky and I ended up having to trim it with my X-Acto knife last time, but I'm going to do my best to line this up, but I should be able to wiggle it around a little bit, which is another advantage of the wet method is you do have a little bit of wiggle room if you don't place your vinyl exactly perfectly on the first try. But if you don't, especially because this is a square, you guys can just trim the edges with your X-Acto knife. So it doesn't need to be perfect. All right, so I'm gonna start here at the bottom. It's a little tough to see through this masking tape is the only thing. That's why I prefer generally to use regular transfer tape, but in this case, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, guys, did I nail it? I don't know. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and lay the rest of my vinyl down. And once you lay your vinyl down, you are kind of set. You can't do a ton more moving, but while you're placing it, you have a little more flexibility. Okay, and so then what we need to do is we need to get the water out from underneath the adhesive vinyl. So you're just going to use a squeegee. I recommend using a squeegee with a little bit of softness, like something like a Cricut scraper would probably be a little too hard for this process. But you're basically just going to hold your vinyl down with one hand and squeegee the water out. And it's going to get a little messy. So you'll see that water is like coming out from underneath the vinyl like this. And you'll be able to see it a little bit better when we peel it off. Now, since I have my masking tape, what's the word I'm looking for, overlapped here, I'm also going to go side to side like this. Okay, and you'll want to have some paper towels nearby. So I should have stuck this down on a paper towel before we got started, but that's okay. So I'm just going to stick it down on paper towel now. And then it can be a little tricky to peel the masking tape off. So I usually like to start one side at a time like this and see how it's wanting to come up because there's probably still water under there. I'll squeegee it a little bit more, but I may just have to help it off of the masking tape a little bit. So, kind of like that. And we can continue squeegeeing the water out when we're done. So don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect right in this moment. So I'll just peel the transfer tape off piece by piece. And what you'll want to do as you're kind of working your tape off is you'll want to use a paper towel and you just want to work any remaining water out from underneath that vinyl. So you can see that if you have a bubble, all it is just moisture that's still left under there. So you just need to get it out. But once it dries, this stuff is just as well stuck down as any other kind of vinyl. So this works really well on acrylic blanks. If you have acrylic blanks where you're decorating them mostly with vinyl and you're getting a lot of bubbles, this works great on them. I mean, there's a lot of applications where this is really useful, you guys. And I actually, when I was working on this morning, I was like, I can't believe I haven't talked about this before. I should have, because this is a great skill to know how to do. Even if you don't need it all the time, it's still really, really great. So you guys probably saw that I have a little bit of a loose corner up here. So I'm going to lightly use my squeegee over top my vinyl again. And I can see that I have a consistent line all the way across the top. Do you guys see that? There's kind of there's like a bubbled up area right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my squeegee, start in the center, and just consistently move it out like that. We're going to get all that remaining moisture out of there. And it's literally perfect, y'all. Literally. Which is the craziest thing. Now, my application was not perfect, and I'm a little off there at the bottom and on the side. But that's okay, because I can just take an X-Acto knife and I can trim off any extra on this side and this side. And it's really darn close. Hey, Michelle, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. We are working on the wet method with vinyl. And so there you have it, y'all. Not a single bubble in this almost full 5x7 sheet of vinyl. That is like basically a miracle. If you guys have worked with vinyl a lot, you know that it just likes to be a little bit of a stinker. So this happens all the time, and that's why the wet method is a beautiful thing. So I'm just going to take my X-Acto knife. Sorry, you're probably going to see the top of my head. And I'm just going to run it along the side of my blank, over top my self-healing mat, not directly on my table. So I'm not hurting anything. And then I can get any of these little areas off that I missed with my application. And that's just user error. That's not a fault of the wet method. That's me not being perfect. But remember, guys, crafting is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be perfect, right? That's what we say around here. Oh, there you go, Amy. You could do that too. Now, you'd have a hard time if you cut it larger. The only thing might be is you'd have a hard time getting the vinyl to not lift in the corners. But yeah, if you wanted to cut it a little bit larger and then just trim the edges, you could do that too. So there's lots of different ways you can do this. I love that idea. So looking really good. Isn't that amazing? I know. Super cool. All right. Sorry, y'all had to look at my head. I always lean over because I can't see what I'm doing. So now we're going to, Kim said, definitely need to try it. How long until it's cured using the wet method? So, you know, Kim, technically, once the moisture is out of the vinyl, technically it's applied and it's good to go, but I would probably wait about 48 hours until you're absolutely sure. That way it gives any moisture time to evaporate and any adjustments that you need to make. Yeah, Catherine, exactly. That's what Amy was just saying, which would be a great idea too. It's a great idea to cut it a little bit larger than you need it and then just cut it down to size if you wanted to get it all the way around the acrylic. That's a great idea. Thanks, Irma. Yeah. So now when I pull off this side of the film, so if you guys have ever worked with vinyl before, you know that when you look through the other side, it can look a little bit, you'll be able to see the bubbles in the opposite side. So that's another reason why the wet method is important in this case, is because when we look through this side, we want it to look really, really nice, like a solid background. So now we're gonna do the wet method with the chalkboard vinyl. So it's just gonna be the same process. We're gonna start by spritzing it with some water. Then we'll peel the backing off of the vinyl. Sorry, I know y'all are struggling to see there. You move it up a little bit. Okay. Now, the ability to move it around is especially helpful with the chalkboard because you want to try to center that as much as you can through the square. So I'll try to do it on my own. I'm not totally going to rely on the wet method, but it's nice to know that I have a little bit of flexibility in case I need it as I put it down there. Okay, there we go. I think that's pretty close. I might be a little bit larger at the top than at the bottom. So I'm just gonna take my squeegee and start working. See, did you guys see that? All the water kind of came out. Let's put it over top of a paper towel. Ooh, Ruth said, can you use the wet method on top of other vinyl? You know, I don't think so, Ruth. I think you probably do need to do it on a slick surface because you need the vinyl to, well, maybe the science in my mind is just made up. And that's exactly what Kim just asked. Basically, can you do multiple layers or can you do the wet method on top of other vinyl? You know what, guys? I've never tried. At first, I was going to say I don't think it would work. But you know, my answer now is I don't know. We'll have to try that and see if it works. So I don't know how well you guys can see that, but the bubbles are kind of coming out here at the side. So now I'm just going to go side to side, get all that moisture out. And now we'll peel off the tape. And of course, because this is a chalkboard, we'll need to get rid of the moisture before we try to write on it. You know, I might have some extra monstera leaves if you guys want to try doing the wet method over the Coral HD on the back. You guys want to see if that works? Because all we really need is the front of the sign to be perfect, right? And there you go. So now we're going to clean around the sign using just a paper towel. Get rid of any moisture from the acrylic. Make sure that the chalk is going to stick okay on the chalkboard vinyl. And there's the basics. Yeah, Kim, we can try that. Catherine said you're putting the chalkboard over vinyl, so it wouldn't be the same with the other vinyl. Yeah, that's true. It definitely would depend on the type of vinyl that you were using, but I do have some of the extra HD monstera leaves, so we can give it a shot on the back over top of the other HD, and we'll see if it works. So I'll finish out this side, and then we'll take a look at that. So what I did before, which is not the best idea, was I wanted to make sure that the chalk would write okay after doing the wet method, and it still worked fine on the chalkboard vinyl, but I'm gonna go ahead and start putting the monstera leaves on top of the, oh my gosh, guys, words. On top of the acrylic first, and then we'll go back and write with the chalkboard. And I just realized, I don't know how this happened, but my my monstera leaves in the holographic are larger than the HD. That's why I got distracted, because I thought that I sized them both the same. Do y'all see that? These are a little bigger than these, but hey, that's okay. So what I will do with these is I'm just going to use my regular, actually I have a scrap of transfer tape, but I'm going to just be using the clear medium tack because I have some extra off of my roll. And what I did before is I'm just going to cut off a small piece like this. And I'm just going to basically wing it in placing the little monstera leaves all the way around the frame. So I'll move this out of the way so it doesn't get stuck to the paper towel. But yeah, it's really that easy. So who learned something today? Who learned something new about the wet method and what to use it for? Let me know if you guys have any other questions about it. Okay, so I'm going to start in the corner here. And I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just mostly going to use my finger for burnishing, and it'll just be fun. So then I'm going to try to vary it. So I'm going to do some holographic and some HD. And look how, oh wait. I'm going to say look how easy it comes up, and then it won't come up. So I do have to burnish a little bit sometimes with the squeegee. But when I tested this earlier, I literally just used my finger to burnish. And like, look how beautifully that just comes right off the backing. So cool. And it did cut into the backing a little bit, but it still came off great. So I'm still going to call that a win. Okay. And I'm going to place it so that it is overlapping with the chalkboard a little bit because I want it to, you know, look like it's all one continuous piece. But we're just going to play around. Sorry, you guys are, my little squares covering up what you guys can see. Good, I'm glad you guys are excited. I may have to do a full tutorial on the wet method. That might be something that I add in here soon, just so you guys have a quicker way to watch it in case you want to learn how to do it or in case you need it for something. Good, Shannon, I'm glad that you guys learned. So what are you guys up to? I feel like I've done all the talking today, which I guess, you know, is part of my job, but I want to hear about you guys. Are you guys crafting anything? Have you been too busy to craft recently? What's going on with all of you? So now I'm just going to go around the perimeter and play around with it. Yeah, it is. It's always good to see a new method or something. And really, it's not like I wouldn't use the wet method every single time because it's just not necessary, honestly. But, you know, sometimes you're doing a project and you're like, man, I'm really stuck. I don't know what to do. And then you'll be like, oh, I remember that one live where we did something different. And maybe that will work for this project. And you'll come back and watch this live and it will make your life so much easier. Yes, Kim, that would be perfect. Does the wet method work well for putting names on a mirror or a seating chart? Yeah, it would be great for that. Yep, that's a great application. And that way, so here's one where we like lost a little bit of the piece. So I'm not going to use this holographic leaf, but honestly, for how many we got out off this one thing, I'm still really happy. I'm okay with losing a leaf on occasion since I cut them super small anyway. Ooh, Marie is crafting faux leather jewelry. Fun. Painting some signs to replenish for my shop, getting ready for fall. Oh yeah, I know. People have been talking about fall and I'm not quite ready for that yet. But it is exciting that it's getting close. Stephanie Harris said, I'm working on organizing my rhinestones and rearranging my craft room. Ooh, girl, you know that is one of my favorite things to do. I love making new stuff in my craft room, making things look pretty, getting them organized. Shannon said, I started sublimation pieces this week, a canvas and coasters. Congrats, girlfriend. That's awesome. It's so fun and so satisfying to try a new craft. My scissors are in my way. It's always so much fun. Put this like here. Oh, and I forgot to mention this part. I wrote it on my other one, but if you're thinking about a summer party kind of theme, like we've been going with for this box, I turned this into a little menu for my summer party. And actually, I was thinking about this. I sort of did have a summer party last weekend. My husband, one of his favorite coworkers, is leaving where he works, and so we threw a little barbecue for about 10 of his coworkers or so, or there were about 10 of us total, so I guess like 8 of his coworkers and a couple of their wives and stuff, and so I sort of did have a little bit of a summer party. So that was a little crazy because we decided to do that on Sunday after we got home from our first camping trip. So it was a little bit nuts because we woke up early on Sunday and packed up the camper, which luckily we were close to home. But then we came home and spent the whole day getting ready, and then we had them over for a couple hours. So I have definitely had a slower week this week because I'm still recovering from last week. But you can turn this into any chalkboard sign that you want. You definitely, obviously, I did like a menu and I put hot dogs, chips, and margs, like as in short for margaritas, because my handwriting is terrible. And the reason that, or at least my handwriting with chalk is terrible. And the reason that it's all messed up is because I did transfer tape over top of my chalk. So I smeared it in a bunch of spots. But I'll show you guys how it looks here in a minute. Kim said she's creating her own sublimation designs. That's awesome, Kim. I hear you, girlfriend. I hear you. Me neither. Roseanne said she's been helping her grandson make a stitch cake for his girlfriend's birthday. Does that count for crafting? Yes, it does, Roseanne. That's really cool. Kayla's supervising kids at the pool. Fair enough. Absolutely. That's so summery. Helena said, I'm in the process of starting a small business, so I've been trying to get my website set up today since my full-time job doesn't allow me very much time to do much of anything else, and it's my day off. Well, good. Good for you, Helena. Work it, girlfriend. I worked 2 jobs for a really long time, so I feel you so much. Amy said she's excited for my camper series. Yeah, I'm still gathering ideas, so it'll be a little while for that. In fact, I may even end up waiting until winter time to work on that because I want to make sure that, you know, I have everything ready to go. But I have some really good ideas that I think you guys are going to like for the camper. Junie said she's working on designing candles for your website. Oh, cool. That's super neat, Junie. Very cool. All right, so now we're going to do this bottom row, and then I'm going to flip this guy over, and we're going to give it a try with a wet method on the back. We'll just see what happens. Whoop. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Man down. I flipped my leaf over when I was trying to transfer it. Whew, that was a close one, y'all. I fixed it. I also like, so one of the things that I've learned about the holographic pearls, and let me know if you guys want to see all the colors, because I do have all the colors in my drawer. I just put them away earlier today. But one of the things I like about these holographic pearls is that all of the different colors have a different backing color that is solid. So like, for example, the rainforest pearl has a dark green background. So that really helps me to remember what color is what. So yeah, but I can show you guys all of them if you want to see them. Amy said she just bought a camper and ready to decorate it. My hubby will probably just roll his eyes. Yeah, and I know for me, Amy, I wanted to make sure that my camper is, you know, a place where things are a little more minimal. So I'm not planning on doing a ton of stuff, but I'm definitely going to bring you guys along with the ideas that I'm going to have because I know that it's fun to make it your own. So I know I'm going to be doing some stuff, but I'm not going to go too crazy. It's going to be more of a minimal decoration. But I did decide that I'm going to be doing like an adventure / explore theme, which I know sounds like so original, right? Because it's a camper. But I went to Michael's a couple weeks ago and they had like all of this explore stuff out. And I took a ton of pictures of all the decor and I was like, yep, this is it. I don't care if it's cheesy. I'm doing this thing. So that's going to be the theme of the camper. And I'm so excited. Oh, thanks, Kayla. She said, you come up with the most amazing projects. They aren't something boring or super overdone. Ah, Thanks, girlfriend. I try to come up with projects that are fun for you guys and exciting. And what I've told you guys 1,000 times, but I really am proud of this box because I really like that I was able to include things for you that really range at all levels of crafter. Like, even though the wet method is not super advanced, it's definitely not something that a brand new crafter is probably going to know about. So I feel like I'm able to teach you guys some new skills, even if you've been working with vinyl for a really long time. And, but at the same time, it's still something fun and something functional. You know, a chalkboard sign is always fun and functional. Catherine said, show us all the colors. Okay, I will in just a second. So here's what the final sign looks like. You can see the rainforest. Oh my gosh, guys, the words. There's like so many. It's kind of a long name. Rainforest holographic pearl. Is that right? Yeah. So rainforest is the name. Holographic pearl is like the brand, kind of. And then you can see the HD that's in matte to contrast it. So you could totally write menu at the top, and you could write what you were having for dinner. And then I also wanted to show you a couple of stand options. So there are like the traditional, actually they're not traditional, they're more like wedding style. I'll put you guys back up in the front for that one. Whoops, hold on. There I am. Okay, so there's like the little wood slice thingies. You guys know what I'm talking about? You're not gonna know what I'm talking about. Hold on, my microphone's gonna stretch, but I have them right back here. Here they are. So I bought a set of these from Amazon, but the acrylic that we are using is a little bit too thick for a stand like this. But I thought I wanted to show this to you guys because you could totally make this yourself at home if you wanted to. These are like the little wood blocks that are stained, and they have the little slit over top of them. You guys see that? So it's just like a stained little block of wood with just like a half slit down the center of it. And like I said, the acrylic we are using is a little too, oh no, it does fit. Oh my gosh, I'm lying to you. It fits great. So this would look really, really cute on your table, like say outside. You know, if you've been cooking on the grill, this would look super cute standing on your table or in your kitchen, whatever you want to put on it, or in a bedroom. Or you could go get something like this from either Walmart or Michael's or the Dollar Tree, and it's more of like a traditional stand, if that makes sense. So you have lots of different options for how you want to display your acrylic sign, but that's what I would recommend that you do. But another cool benefit of these guys is that you could totally make your sign double-sided, and you would still be able to see both sides while it's displayed. If you use something like this, you're really only going to be limited to that one side. So I really like the idea of these because how cool is that? So that's what I've got for you. Now, I want to say something real quick because I think this might be the case. So 143 vinyl carries 2 mil and 3 mil acrylic. 2 mil is thin enough to be engraved on your Cricut machine if you have an engraving tip, and 3 mil is what they normally use for keychains, and it's not, it's too thick to go into your Cricut machine. So I think it looks like these were cut out of 2 mil acrylic, possibly. But depending on what you got in your box, it is possible that yours might be a little too thick to fit into these stands. And if you want to, I can link these stands for you guys if you want to see them. I got them from Amazon, and they come in a 5-pack. So I intend to keep using them over and over again. And obviously I bought them for like wedding stuff because I think they make sense for me. But that might be something to keep in mind. If you order these stands, your acrylic may be a little thicker than mine, and it may not fit, is what I'm trying to say. So I don't want you guys to waste your money. So that's my thought on that. Let's see. So Marie, yes, you just need to use regular, like regular chalk. If you use a chalk marker, like you'll see a lot of people use in like Hobby Lobby and stuff like that, then it won't erase. So you have to use regular chalk on chalk vinyl. Oh, good, Junie. She said, I'm so lucky to be on your live today. I'm learning because I do vinyl designs too, and I really need new ideas. Well, good. I'm so glad. I hope that this helped you get some ideas and spark some different things. Yes, Kim, this would be super cute for a coffee bar. You're so right. Yeah. Catherine said, what's the stand called on Amazon? Honestly, Catherine, I'll have to look it up for you. Kayla said you could use removable vinyl on the stand and put menu on there or for something fun. Yeah, you totally could. That's a great idea. Hi, Josie. How are you? Let me pull up Amazon real quick and I'll link you guys to those stands because I can't remember what I called them. I got them on Amazon Prime Day. They were on sale. And there's our token train. We can't have a live go down without either someone mowing their lawn right outside my house or a train. So there's your train of the day. I don't know if y'all can hear that or not. But I hear trains all day long in my neighborhood. So wooden stands from Amazon. There you go. That's what I used. Okay, so let's take a look at the other holographic colors, and then we will move over to the back side of the acrylic, and we'll try the wet method on the back over top of other vinyl. That way I can use my vinyl, and in case we ruin it, you guys don't have to use yours. Okay, so give me a second. I'm gonna have to bend down in my Alex drawers back here and grab my holographic. Give me just a second. Okay. And I'm gonna pull up the website, the 143 Vinyl website, because I don't know that I'm gonna get that right. All the color names right. I remember a lot of them, but sometimes I mix them up because I was still working there when they released the Holographic Pearl HTV, and that was the day that Heather and I made sweatshirts, and it was really fun. So those names are usually stuck in my mind, but I don't always remember them perfectly. Oh, you don't hear it, Kayla? Good. Well, I'm glad you guys don't have to listen to that. I can always hear it, and I wonder what you guys can hear because it sounds crazy. Okay. So vinyl under Caesar PSV holographic pearls. Okay. So I'll find the one with the red backing first is the Firelit Pearl. Okay, so the backing is red, and this is Firelit Pearl. And it's gonna look totally different depending on the light that you're in. So keep that in mind whenever you grab some of these. They can be a little bit hard to tell apart because, like I said, if you put them in on a certain background, they look totally different. But one of the things that I learned yesterday on Kate from 143 Went Live is that because the backing of these is clear and the films are a little bit transparent, especially some of the lighter colors, you can actually lay your vinyl, pardon me, over top of what you want to lay it on, and then you can kind of see what the color is going to look like, which is really helpful. That way you're not like wasting your vinyl trying it on something that you're not gonna like. So here is my personal favorite. This is the Moonlight Pearl, which is purple, and I absolutely love it. My mug is like across the room, so I can't go grab it, but this is what I put on the mug yesterday that I posted for you guys, and I am in love. I am actually in love with this stuff. So this is Moonlight Pearl, and then there's Mystic Pearl and Regular Pearl, and I believe Mystic Pearl, oh shoot, this is where it gets hard. Okay, Mystic Pearl, I think, is this one. It is the lightest color by far, but it has a white backing on it, so it's not quite as see-through. Okay, so this is Mystic Pearl. And then the one that is super see-through, you can literally see like my face through it, is just the Regular Pearl. That's what that looks like. And then there's Rainforest Pearl, which is what we used on this project, which I have in here. So this is the Rainforest Pearl, has the dark green backing, and there's fingerprints all over it, but it looks like this. So this is what they all look like. They are so pretty. That's why I told you guys before I posted, I said, if you don't want to spend all your money, don't read the rest of this post. But I know y'all read it anyways because I would have read it too. But I'm just saying, I mean, you need to see it because it's just stunning. So this is 4 of the colors, and then there's 2 more. And then I'll go back to y'all's comments here in a second. I had to look at the website so I could see all the names. Oh wait, which one has the yellow backing? Hold on, I'm missing one because there's one more here. Oh, and then the one with the yellow backing is Tropical Pearl, which also would have looked really good on our sign as well. It's more of like a yellow, gold, orange kind of color, but it would have looked really good too. So this is Firelit Pearl and this is Tropical Pearl side by side. So there you go. They are absolutely stunning. I'm in love. Okay, Kayla said, I was hoping you'd have the new holographic stuff for the live today. The website does not do it justice. No, it does not. Like, you could never capture all the colors that these holographic colors come in. Let's see. Catherine said, how durable is the chalkboard vinyl? So Catherine, the chalkboard vinyl technically does have a removable adhesive. So for the most part, that's not going to make a huge difference, but I would not leave it outdoors for an extended period of time. So if you're going to leave it on your back deck or on your back porch for a couple of hours, I think it would be fine. But because of the removable adhesive, I would not leave it back there for an extended period of time. Kim said, love that moonlight. Oh my God. I know. I'm telling you, like, literally you will be obsessed. And what I did is I put this moonlight pearl on, over top of a navy offset on my purple camping mug, and I am actually in love. Stephanie said, craft room question. Did you use vinyl to label your cubbies? Yes, Stephanie, I did. And I was going to use Starcraft metal in the brushed gold, or no, in the chrome gold, because I don't know how well you guys can see it, but on my cubbies, these dots are actually like kind of shiny. So I wanted to match that vinyl, but I cut some of this stuff using the correct cut setting, and it was a nightmare. The Starcraft metal just doesn't cut that finely. This is the font Avocado Creamy, and I ended up just using the gold Starcraft HD, and it was a lot darker than I wanted it to be, but it's a lot easier to read, and it was really easy to weed, even for all, I cut them all in order, and it took a while, but the gold HD worked perfectly on my cubbies. And I've got some new plans because I got a couple of new Cricut machines. So now I have to make some more space than what I had before. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be revamping my craft room a little bit again. Definitely not as much as last time, but I'm going to be adding some stuff so that I have some more storage and some more space, and I can't wait to show you guys. Oh, Catherine said, how long will the chalkboard vinyl using chalk and erasing it over and over? Honestly, Catherine, I don't think that you'll have a problem with it. Every once in a while you may have to wipe it off with a wet paper towel to get some of the chalk dust off, but I don't think that you'll run into a longevity issue. I would treat it just like regular vinyl. Oh, cool. Good to know, Kayla. She said, we used it for a Christmas countdown. I'm assuming you mean the chalkboard vinyl. Erased every day from the day after Thanksgiving, and it worked great. So there you go. You're welcome, Stephanie. You're welcome. Okay, so off of the craft room talk, because y'all probably don't care about that, let's try out the wet method on the back side. Let me put these back in my drawer. Down here, this is where, so I have the 24-inch Alex drawers. I hope you guys can hear me okay because my microphone is stretched out a little bit. But these are the 24-inch Alex drawers from IKEA. And I thought that when I got these, like the inside of the drawers was 24 inches. And it's very close, but they're not quite 24 inches. So you guys can't see the camera that high, but my vinyl is actually it's kind of perched on the side of my drawer. It doesn't actually lay down flat in the drawer, if that makes any sense. So that was something that I had heard everybody talk about, so I just assumed that it was a full 24 inches wide, and the inside of the drawers is not. It's really close though, and it still fits your 24-inch sheets, but it does they kind of lay up on the side of the drawer when you push it in, if that makes any sense. I was not expecting that. All right, anyways, let's switch gears back to the wet method. So let me move y'all back to the overhead camera, and we will see how this works. Ooh, and this will be different. Okay. Let's just do each individual piece. That's what we'll do. We will use masking tape, and I'll just have to pick it up piece by piece. So we'll spritz the whole back with this water. Yeah, that would be perfect, Marie. You could totally make it a countdown calendar. So I'm going to spritz the back with water, just like I normally would. Then I'm going to take the little leaf, peel it up using the masking tape, and then we'll just start sticking them down and seeing how they do. So then I'm going to get my squeegee and move the water out from underneath the vinyl like this, and let's see how well the vinyl comes off. Ooh, that vinyl's not going to want to come off. Now, I don't know if this is different because this is like a little tiny piece. Like, I've never done it piece by piece before. I've always done the wet method for larger pieces, if that makes any sense. Like, kind of like we did with this, where like I had like a whole sheet of vinyl. So this might take a little bit of finesse to get the vinyl off, but I'm thinking once we can get it on there, it should work fine. But we'll find out, won't we? Okay. Yep. There's another little piece down here. Okay, so I got it off. It was not super easy, but let's use a paper towel and try to remove all the water away. It looks good now. So I just sponged off the area that I was using. You can kind of see where it's still wet around it. And it worked okay. It was not the easiest to get off, but it looks pretty good, I think. So let's keep on trying. Ooh, Kayla said the 5-tier bookshelves fit the 12 by 24 sheets perfectly. Where is the 5-tier bookshelf from, Kayla? Because I need some. So what I'm going to be doing, I actually think, this is just my craft room thoughts, while we work on this project. So I'm thinking that I'm actually going to leave my filming table in the center of the room like it is right now. And then I think back along the wall where I used to have my filming table, I think I may see if I can get like a portion of like a countertop and some cabinets. So from my heat press over to my epoxy cabinet, see if I can get like a countertop with cabinets underneath it. And then that way I'll have some more storage and a secondary workspace for different projects and stuff like that. And I'm also going to be clearing out my closet, and I'm going to be putting shelving in there as well. So I'm on the hunt for some shelves. Oh, from Walmart. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll have to look into that because I need some relatively small shelving that's going to work in my closet, because my closet doesn't have a ton of space, but right now I have like some filming equipment that I rarely use stored in there. And I think I'm going to be getting rid of a lot of that, selling it or something. And, oh yeah. And guys, I've made a big decision. I have decided to sell my OG Cricut machine. I have a Cricut Air, so not an Explorer Air 2, or I guess a Cricut Explorer Air, but not the Air 2 that I originally started my crafting career with. And I think I'm going to be selling it because now I have a Maker 3, and an Explorer Air 2. And I just don't have room for 4 machines. And I might possibly get the Joy at some point too. So I felt like that was a little excessive, especially because I don't use my Air anymore. So I think I'm probably going to be getting rid of it, which is kind of sad. But, you know, I wanted to go to a good home for somebody who's going to use it. So I think I either will do a yard sale and put some of my stuff out, or I will sell it on Marketplace. Kayla said, I have Softflex, EasyWeed, and electric on the shelves currently. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll have to look into that, Kayla. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay, so once the tape is wet, it doesn't work anymore, but that's okay because it's masking tape, so we have plenty. So far, so good. If you guys want to know if it works, I would say right now it looks pretty good. It's a lot tougher to get off of the backing, off of the masking tape when we're layering on top of vinyl versus the actual acrylic or the actual glass itself. But if you're willing to take the time, I think it's going to work just fine. Let me spritz this area again because it kind of dried up on us. Move some of that water around. And yeah, okay. We'll try a piece right here. I know Kim wanted to see this. Was it Amy that also wanted to see if this worked? I think it was Amy that asked me about this. So that's my verdict on it, is it's a little tougher to get off the backing, probably because the surface is not quite as ideal with vinyl on top of vinyl. It still works, but in case you guys are not aware of that, the ideal surface for vinyl is glass because it's smooth, it's glossy, and it has absolutely no pores. And so because vinyl sticks so well on like acrylic and glass and stuff like that, it's a little easier to get the vinyl off of the masking tape. On top of the vinyl, it still works. It just takes a little more elbow grease. So that's my verdict. I'd have to try a bigger project to know for sure. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. Oh man, y'all, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. Boy, time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? So we'll wipe some of this water off, and I think we will call this thing a day. So let me know if you guys have any last questions. I'll give you another couple minutes to drop those in the chat. But yeah, they look really good. No bubbles. Now these little guys probably wouldn't have bubbles anyway. That's not something you're going to struggle with on a really tiny piece. So like I said, that's why I'd have to try it on a larger project to know for sure if it works. But initially, I think it works fine. Make sure you have paper towels handy because after you're finished with your squeegee, then you want to kind of wipe everything off with a paper towel and make sure that all the remaining moisture is gone. So now I'll write on the chalk a little bit, or on the chalkboard. My handwriting with chalk is not pretty, y'all. Not pretty, but it works. So I'm going to write thank you because you guys hung out with me this whole time. Ugh. The sides of the chalk just make it really difficult to like... to look pretty, but a little rough, huh? So we're struggling to write on there a little bit, but I think it's the edge of the chalk that needs to be worn down. Not so pretty, but it works, see? You're welcome, Irma, of course. I'm glad that you liked it. This is another fun project. I tell you guys that every project is my favorite, but this is another one of my favorites now. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. I really enjoyed chatting with you this afternoon and doing the whole mystery box with you guys. I've had so much fun. Kayla said, I always forget you're left-handed. I know, and that makes it even more awkward, doesn't it? Because people try to watch me write left-handed and they're like, oh my gosh, because I know it looks so foreign to all of you, but I am super duper left-handed. Like my right hand is definitely not as talented as my left hand at writing, at doing anything with crafting. I have to do everything with my left hand. When I played softball, I bat left hand. Like I am a lefty through and through. You're welcome, Marie and Stephanie. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for doing all this with me. And again, I know it's been a while, but if you bought a mystery box, I just want to say thank you because you help support me so much when you do things like that. When you use my coupon code ALEX5, when you shop through my affiliate links, when you buy the mystery boxes, that is a huge help and support for me. So I just want to personally thank you for buying the box or buying the materials even and hanging out with me and enjoying making the projects with me because I love making this stuff with you guys. I love coming up with this stuff for you. And so when you're excited about it and you're enthusiastic, I just love seeing all of your excitement. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for hanging with me, for supporting me, and for being a wonderful part of my crafty fam. You're welcome, Junie and Josie. I'm so glad that you guys are here. Don't forget to subscribe to DIY Alex if you haven't already. So make sure you click that big subscribe button. You may have to sign into your Google account on YouTube. So if YouTube asks you for a sign in, you have to have a Google account. But it's totally free to subscribe. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that you join my Facebook group, which is linked in the description below. And yeah, you guys know how to find me on social media. Definitely always message me on Facebook or Instagram, wherever, if you need anything. And I love you guys. I'll see you real soon.